Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in white, and we're learning to calculate the circumference of a given circle. So there's a few key words in there. So circumference, that'll be a new word for us, and circle will be one that hopefully we recall from before. So we're all very familiar with what the circle is, and important to that circle definition we looked at in yesterday's video was the idea of a radius and the idea of a diameter as well. So like the area formula, the circumference formula, which we're going to learn about, that heavily relies on the idea of a radius. So if you get this circle that we've done, and for example, maybe we chop it here, and then we stretch out the circle like it was a bit of string, that bit of string is what we would call the circumference of the circle. It's a word that specifically refers to the perimeter of a circle, and the word circumference, it won't apply to squares, but perimeter can apply to both. And the formula that we need to find the circumference of something, so C is equal to 2 pi r. And that's slightly different to the area formula, where it was 2 pi r squared. So that little 2, that's moved out front now. So that was a quick once over of the terms and the formula that we're going to look at. Let's go away, let's start applying that formula now. So let's get into our first question. Question 1, we've been given a circle, and let's say that has a radius of 5 meters. What would the circumference of that be? So the circumference, so we always start off with writing our formula. Circumference is always equal to 2 pi r. And our value is the radius that's given to us already. That's going to be 5, so it's going to be 2 times pi times 5. And what you can do is you can plug that straight into your calculator. And I get 31.4 meters. And I've rounded that to 1 decimal place. So hopefully you got that as well. So let's try another question. Let's change pen color. Let's get into blue. So question 2, we've got another circle. This time around, let's say it has a radius of 10 centimeters. The same process applies. So we've been given the radius, which makes our life a bit easier. So the circumference is equal to 2 pi r. That's our formula. Let's put in the 10 for the r. So 2 times pi times 10. And that should get us to 62.8 centimeters. And again, I've rounded that to 1 decimal place. Okay, let's try a slightly different question this time. So question 3. So we've got our circle, but let's say this time we've been given the diameter. And we know the diameter of the circle is 15 millimeters. How would we go about calculating that? So the first thing I would be doing, to find the radius, I would be going with the diameter divided by 2. So that gets us to 7.5. And now that we've got the radius, we can go ahead and put it into our circumference formula. So the circumference is always equal to 2 pi r. In this case, that's going to be 2 times pi times 7.5. And when you put that into your calculator, so I'm doing 2 times 7.5 times pi, that gets us to 47.1. So 47.1. And in this case, that's millimeters, and that's been rounded to 1 decimal place. So let's give another one of those a go as well. So let's change to the white colored pen. So question 4. So let's say we've got a circle. It has a radius. It's a small circle. It's got a radius of maybe, say, 2 centimeters. So in this case, the radius is going to be 2, and we're going to chop that in half, divided by 2, so that gets us to a 1 centimeter radius. From there, we can put that into our equation. So the circumference of a circle is equal to 2 pi r. The radius we've just said was 1, so half of the diameter. 2 times pi times 1. And then when we put that into our calculator, so I'm just getting mine out now, we're going to do 2 times pi times 1, and that equals to 6.3 centimeters. 6.3 centimeters, and that there was 1 decimal point. So hopefully you're finding the first examples relatively straightforward. You need to identify, are you using the radius, are you using the diameter? Now let's change pen color. Let's get into a few harder questions, a few extension questions to finish up with. So question 5. Okay, so let's say we've actually got a half circle, not a full circle. How would we find the circumference or the edge of this circle? And let's say we've been given a radius of 6 meters. So in this case here, our calculation is actually going to form 2 parts. So it's going to be the curved edge of the shape, the one that goes from here all the way around to the end. And then it's also going to be the flat edge of our shape as well. So let's calculate the curved edge first. So the circumference is going to be equal to 1/2, because it's a half circle, times 2 pi r. So if it was a 3/4 circle, you'll be doing 3/4. If it was 1/4 of a circle, you'll be doing 1/4. So that's going to be equal to 1/2 times 2 times pi times 6. And you can put that into your calculator and you'll be able to get to our answer. So let's say 1/2, well that's 0.5. So 0.5 times 2 times pi times 6. That gets us to 18.85. 18.85 meters. And I've chosen that to round that to 2 decimal points. So that's the curved edge. I then need to worry about this flat edge along the bottom. And this flat edge is actually going to be 2 lots of the radius. So 2 lots of the radius would be 2 times 6, which gets us to 12 meters. And if you combine them together, so let's say total, that's going to be equal to 18.85 plus 12, and that gets us to 30.85 meters, and I've rounded that to 2 decimal places. So that last question, bit of an extension question, but the trick is pay attention, how much of a circle have you been given? So guys, hopefully you found today's video useful. We went through 5 different questions, some with a radius, some with a diameter, some with part circles as well. Let's get into heaps of practice now.